Hey everyone, it's Justin and welcome back to Lights Over Loveland. Today I have an episode where I talked to John, also known as Orbs by Thought, and we had a great conversation about how we go about connecting with the phenomenon and how you can take some steps to try to connect if that's something you would like to do. We just talked about our techniques, what we go through, our mindset, and really, we didn't talk about this. I forgot to bring it up, but I don't believe that the location where you're skywatching matters. I think it helps, but I don't think it matters. I think what truly matters to see this phenomenon and connect with it is your internal state of mind and your internal being. This is very much a phenomenon that pushes you within. And when you can connect within, that's when you start being able to gain these experiences and connecting with a higher intelligence. It may be separate from ourselves, or it may be a piece of ourselves that we are tapping into. And then a couple other things that I forgot to talk about that I want to bring up real quick, but this phenomenon completely changed my life. My lifestyle changed 180 degrees. I am no longer the person I was before this. I quit drinking alcohol, I quit drinking soda, caffeine, I quit eating a bunch of junk food, I changed my music. I only listen to positive, uplifting, like reggae music, talking about consciousness, happiness, and I had to reprogram my entire mind to see the beauty in everything and find the lessons and challenges, and really it has evolved me completely. That old version of me is gone. I am a completely different person. So for people that want to connect with this phenomenon, know that when you truly connect, this is something that can change you completely. But like I said in the podcast, this has changed me for the better. It made me a better person. It made me even more empathetic and more open and loving to all these different things and all the life that's around us at all times. And there's one last thing that I wanted to talk about that I didn't talk about in the episode, and that's to not overanalyze when you're out trying to connect with the phenomenon. Yes, it's good to use tools and connect and everything, but if you're really trying to establish this connection, it's not going to come through extreme skepticism. You need to just be open with seeing the things in the sky. It may be a satellite, it may not. That's okay. Just start seeing anything in the sky and just thank it for flying by. Even if it's a satellite, just start appreciating what you're seeing. And the more that you get into that gratitude and appreciative state, that's when these incredible things start happening. And that's when you'll get the experiences where, like, there's no way that was a satellite. Like last night after recording the episode, I was all amped up. I took some of the tips that John gave. I took a shower and I was listening to my favorite music and I was just having a great time. And I was like, you know what? It's a beautiful night outside right now. I let the dog out and I have some things possibly going on behind the scenes. I asked for some signs, and within just probably a minute, I got this big, bright, golden orb fly from south to north directly over me. Of course, I did not have my phone on me or anything. I was literally just letting the dog out for a couple minutes, but it gave me a sign right when I asked. And that got me so excited that I was like, you know what? I'm grabbing the camera. I'm going out. I'm going to see what I can connect with and record. And it was so active last night. I have a lot of footage I got to go through, at least over an hour's worth, where I got some responses. I saw a lot of orbs. I recorded something very similar to what I saw, but flying a different direction.
So there's a plane to the right, but to the left there was an orb there a moment ago that was really bright and went out real quick.
Can you please do that again? Thank you.
Wow. That was immediately when I asked. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It is 10:12 p.m. Wow, that was absolutely incredible. Is there any way we could do it again? Oh my god, thank you. Whoa. Hello. Thank you. Oh my goodness, that was incredible. Thank you so much. Oh wow. Wow, wow, wow. It's 10:32. Wow. I'm gonna have to move my tripod here in a moment. Thank you so much. Wow. That right there is worth it. Thank you. Insane. Thank you. Wow. I do have Focus 12 going in my AirPods. Holy cow, thank you. I was just getting ready to restart the video and you're like, no, not yet. Not yet. Wow, 10:34.
And now, could that have been a satellite? There's a possibility it was. But the fact that I got this message basically, and it shows up right when you're asking for things to show up. That's the biggest thing people don't get from these videos. You're not there to experience the synchronicity of it. Like talking with John on this episode and connecting and all these different ways that we practice so we can see the orbs. And then implementing that night and being able to see these incredible things. And it's really cool because I saw a few different things that reminded me of also the episode I recorded with Brittany. And it's just when you connect with fellow experiencers, you tend to pick up what they're experiencing as well, which is kind of like that hitchhiker effect. So I'm really excited for this episode. Hopefully this will help answer the questions that people have been asking of how you can connect and start seeing the orbs. Like I said, just go out, start seeing anything in the sky. Don't overanalyze it, just document it. You can look up afterwards if you need to check it, but you're really trying to get into a certain meditative state, and it's really hard to do when you're constantly checking a satellite tracker and everything like that. With a lot of practice, you will get very good at spotting aircrafts, satellites, and the anomalous, which that's why I like showing videos of the flashes. I like showing videos of them like doing a streak across the sky. I like showing videos of them doing power-ups and different things like that. I really try to find the moments that stood out to me, and that's what I try to upload. I see so many objects. Like last night, in that hour or so I was outside, I probably saw at least minimum 50 different things flying through the sky. Just open up your mind and do so in a loving way where you just want to see what's up there and be excited, because they respond to excitement. I have had so many experiences where we all get excited and start cheering, and then it starts like flashing and powering up with us, like it's cheering with us or laughing with us and having a great time. This phenomenon seems to have a sense of humor. So with all that being said, let's dive into the video. Welcome back to Beyond the Lights. Today we have a returning guest. We have John, also known as Orbs by Thought, and he's been getting this question a lot of how do you connect with the phenomenon? So today we're going to have a conversation and try to do our best to explain to everyone out there our process to connect with the phenomenon and how you can go about seeing this for yourself. So, welcome, John. And yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you, Justin. Yeah, I've been getting messages, and a lot of people say the same exact question of what methods do you use? Or they ask, how do I do it? They ask, hey, I just saw your videos. How did you connect? So I thought I need to make a video about methods. And then I thought, let's do a collab. And I'd love to do it with Justin as far as explaining our thought processes, maybe how we connected on that first sighting, and how we have sort of kept this thing going and just the way we dive in. So yeah, I appreciate coming back on.
Yeah, I'm excited that we get to talk about this because this is a question I've got asked a lot too. I actually just got another one last night as well. And I know you just got one. And yeah, so I guess if you want to go ahead and start, we can get into like, how did you start connecting with the phenomenon and how did you evolve this connection to get it into where it is today?
Yeah, I want to say the first time I ever tried doing this, I was in a pool floating on my back on like a floaty, and I'm looking into the sky and I'm asking to see a UFO, and I'm asking the skies like and just everywhere. I'd love to see you. I know you're up there. Can I see a spacecraft? Can I see something awesome? That did not work. That and I tried that for months, doing that approach while picturing where I am on the planet, trying to emanate love, but not really connecting to what you would call God, the source, the one, and not really having a spiritual approach. It was more so straight meditation and asking aliens to show themselves. What turned on the connection for me was coming across Chris Bledsoe, coming across different outlooks on reality, doing a deep dive into NDEs, listening to people like Dolores Cannon, and just different outlooks on how reality works, and then realizing really strongly that they are an extension of us. We are all an extension of one. And so you call out to the one, which is essentially the higher source of you. And through that, and through this sort of like Wi Fi network, you could call it, um, that changed gears for me, where it's not, hey, aliens, I'd love to see you. It was, hey, God, I'd love to be a part of this. And whoever's up there that I'd love to connect with through love, I'd love to see. And so it was just a deeper approach spiritually. And that's kind of a summary of kind of what flipped from spectacle to connecting to God.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of similar to me as well. So, like, when I first started seeing the phenomenon, I've said this quite a few times, but to me, it started as a joke, actually. So, there was the congressional hearing stuff on TikTok, and me and my friend were just talking about the aliens all day at work. And we're like, man, like, this is so crazy that this is going on. And I went home from work. I can't remember exactly the day. It was August 2023. And I remember just I told my wife, "I'm gonna go look for the aliens," as a joke, went outside, and I started seeing these balls of light flying through the sky that just really sparked this curiosity in me. I had never seen anything really flying through the sky like that besides maybe, like, some shooting stars growing up, but I've never seen any satellites or anything like that. So, it really just I'm a very curious person, and I'm also the kind of person who, when I'm interested in something, I'll just deep dive into it. So I just got hooked and I started going out every single night and I was trying to record everything I could. And at the time, I had my cell phone and the videos were absolutely terrible. And I got a pair of night vision binoculars that kind of helped me be able to document this a bit better. At the same time, I was also learning about all the different things and the nuts and bolts side of the phenomenon. And then eventually I found Chris Bledsoe as well. and UFO of God. And through that, I read the book and I just believed Chris 100% in my heart. Like, I didn't feel he was lying. I thought he was authentic. And after that, I found out his son, Ryan Bledsoe, had a podcast, Bledsoe Said So, which led me to deep diving into a lot of the same topics like you brought up. So I started learning about near death experiences. I've also dove into like the esoteric teachings and Gnosticism and Hermeticism and all these different things that Ryan was teaching that I didn't know anything about. And then realizing that a lot of the planet, especially like the Eastern culture, this isn't crazy to them. Like, this is very much a part of like their life. Like, they understand that there is the spirit and there is this greater connection that in the West we've kind of lost.
Mhm.
And I really feel like that finding all of that information and just it resonated within my heart so well that that led me to then learning about meditation and going within myself, which led me to the same point as you, realizing that we are all connected. Everything is all connected. And it's so much more of just going within and realizing that you're reaching out to a part of yourself basically out there in the sky. Like, it's an extension of you, it just in a different form of consciousness, basically, is what it feels like. And yeah, and then through that, the phenomenon evolved. It first started with just seeing these balls of light flying through the sky that I couldn't tell if they were satellites or what they were. I was going out every single night for all the way up until May when I finally saw this crazy triangle formation that completely shifted my paradigm. And at that point, I went from skeptical, not sure what this was, to 100% believing that there is something unexplainable going on that is not man made. And yeah, so it just has been this crazy ride. And I've been able to document all these incredible things just like yourself. And yeah, I guess, do you have, what's your process then when you are going to go out on a sky watch? Kind of like, what's your routine if you're going to go do a normal sky?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on what you said with your first sighting, where you had a conversation during the day, and there was almost a slight intention set there of you
Yeah.
began to give it attention, you began to give it focus, and you had that curiosity, that openness, and they validated that with sightings to spur you on and let you go deeper. All of that was meant to happen. For me, it feels like I just want to touch on this real quick, where I feel like I naturally came across content that made me go deeper into this.
Mm, yes.
The Bledsoe Danny Jones podcast was the start of something new where I came across that podcast, heard Bledsoe's interview. I then listened to maybe 15 different Chris Bledsoe interviews, everything he's ever done essentially online. Story never changed, the tone never changed. And then it really shifted me when his sons and his daughter stood behind him and continued to say this has all happened, and Chris Jr.'s experience. And I was completely reaching a knowingness that it happened. And then with that, I thought, well, it's 100% real and we're all a part of the one. So if Chris can call out and bring in these orbs through love, let me give this a true try and go with his type of thoughts. So that was kind of what spurred me. And nowadays when I go and call out, I'll set an intention during the day of, "I love to see, I know you're up there. I'd love to stay a part of this." And then I'll find a time that I like, maybe 9 to 10 PM. I'll turn on a meditation tape, and in my meditation, I sometimes picture myself diving deep into a dark ocean to where I find silence. And I have over-ear headphones and I'm listening to a tape, but I'm picturing myself reaching this depth of an ocean to where it's just black. But then as I'm doing that, I'm emanating love upwards and I'm picturing where I am on the planet. Not a lot of people, I feel like, need to do that. You can do this just from the thought and from the love, but I like to just spruce in that really picturing where I am. Sometimes I'll say my address And then for straight transparency, I'll say lines that I've heard Chris say as far as to the mother, the father, and child I'd love to see. And in my mind, some if it's religion based for you, that's fantastic. For me, it's not. It's I picture a triangle of creation. You could have a mother, father, child, whale species, like whales, doll, any type of life form is the mother, the father, and child, the triangle of creation. So I have that in my mind. I'm also just kind of calling out to God. And then I have this thought of, you are a part of it. I'm a part of it. We are precisely energetically equal. So I would really love to see you. If you'd like to come down, come and observe human love. I've said that in my mind countless times. Come and observe this love I'm emanating from as far as the human species. And I think that maybe slightly piques their interest, and they do come down and they do observe us. And maybe more than observed, connect as well. But that's kind of the baseline of my thoughts. And to summarize, love. I Google Earth. You don't have to, I don't think. And um, the meditation of connecting inwards.
Yeah, mine is very similar. So, I've really been trying to set intentions like ahead of time. Like, for example, this weekend we're actually having a community Skywatch event. So I've been trying to set intentions a week or so out of I would love to connect with, basically like asking to connect to God, as crazy as that is. And I'm not religious either. This has, to me, nothing to do with actual religion. It's the spiritual part of it. So remove all the dogma of religion and just focus on the core part, that there is something higher that created everything and you're a part of it. Like, that's basically all you need to know. And I just try to ask to connect to that higher intelligence in a loving way. And I always ask, I would love to see whatever you're willing to show me to help wake up mankind. I also basically go into saying a prayer when I do start my Skywatch. So a lot of times I like to go out around that 9 or 10 o'clock as well. If you want to be super safe and not have to deal with satellites and all that kind of stuff, there's a website called heavensabove.com, which will tell you when all the satellites are visible. And then you can just go out after the last one's visible. This time of the year, it's going to be pretty late. You're going to be pushing like 1 a.m. But that way you can go out and guarantee that you should not be seeing any satellites whatsoever. And I just go through a prayer, like a gratitude prayer, basically. I'll say, God, Holy Spirit, thank you so much for this incredible day. I go through everything that I'm grateful for, my family, health, the life that I'm living, the path that I'm on. And then I invite like a relationship, basically. I'm inviting them to come and connect with me. And I always ask if you could please show up where my camera is pointed. And like I said, yeah, anything that you would like to have me show mankind to help awaken more people, because I think they do want us to connect and they want us to start waking up, because I think they want us to start going down the path of light and stop the fighting and violence that's been going on for thousands of years on this planet, and really realize that, we're all in this together. We are all on this planet, and we can make it the most beautiful place that in the universe, honestly. Like, we have an amazing planet, and it makes me sad when other people are like, we're just going to ditch Earth and go to Mars. Like, this place is amazing. Why would we spend all the money and resources to abandon this place when we have everything we need here? And like, through this phenomenon and connection, I've also gained this greater connection with nature and animals, strangely, which you would think connecting with aliens or whatever it is wouldn't lead you to the natural wildlife that's on our planet. But I get signs from random animals that seem to be sending messages at weird random times. And Yeah, you just realize that there's so much more to this phenomenon than just seeing a light in the sky. It's really like shifting our whole view of reality and what we are as humans.
Yeah. I'm so glad you touched on the gratitude aspect. I completely kind of missed that where I as well I say my words are I thank you for today. I thank you for my life. I just go through the list. I thank you for my job. I thank you for my home. I thank you for my pets, my family, my friends. I thank you for this life. And it's just feeling that gratitude. And as you're getting into that mode, you, I believe, raise your frequency. You reach this vibration of when you think about this, when you feel grateful, how hard is it to feel fear? It's impossible. I've tried it. Try to feel fear while feeling grateful. It is literally impossible. So it removes all fear, it removes anxiety. So that grateful aspect you touched on is so key. And that's part of it. And for me with the animals as well, it's somewhat it kind of freaks me out sometimes how it feels like more than a coincidence. We don't I feel like yours we don't really see coincidences too often. It all feels like synchronicities. And a part of this connection that's can so much better humanity is when you connect to these orbs and you know that there is a presence all around us of love and you know that they're up there. They're not always watching us and observing us, but we know that our decisions and our choices that we make are powerful. They're significant. They impact other forms, other fragments of God, other beings. As far as just the choices you make impacts humans, and when that happens, and you have this connection turned on, you start to think about your choices a bit more. I haven't had road rage since this has happened. The most road rage I'll have is maybe like, "Oh, come on." It's not there is not intense anger because I know that none of it is too big of a deal, and to stay, I don't know, in a positive mindset, we're human. You can make poor choices, but I believe when you connect, you become more aware of the choices that you're making and the impact that it has. So it's not like an all surveilling system, big brother type thing, but there's just moments where you go, you know what? Wait, I shouldn't probably do that choice because there is a all knowing consciousness that not observing you, but is just there. And I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really interesting you bring up the things that you brought up because to me, I feel like that they don't want to impede on our free will as well too. Like it is our choice if we want to connect with them. Like you could very well just go about your life, ignore the sky, try to not connect with any higher intelligence, and it's really up to us if we want to seek that connection. And when you do seek that, I feel like they're there to help us. Like it's they always want to help us, but they're not going to do it unless we're open and ready to accept the help from them. And I feel like that's a big thing with disclosure too. Like I hear a lot of people like, why don't they just come land and get this over with or whatever? And I really feel like the whole point of all of this is like a consciousness evolution for the human species. And I think we are in the process of remembering ancient senses or abilities or skills, such as like psychic abilities, that we've lost throughout time that we are all capable of that we used to just do all the time back in ancient history. And it's kind of just like this remembering when you like go through a spiritual awakening, you realize that a lot of this stuff, at least in my opinion, was there's a lot of really ancient information out there. Like it pushed me into learning about the ancient shaman and realizing 35,000 years ago, which is the oldest recorded history that we have on humanity, the shaman was the most respected community member, and it was their job to connect with the star people, to gather information to bring back to help the community of like, where should we hunt? Where should we live? Where can we find resources? So, that's like remote viewing, dowsing for water. Like, it's all of these things that we used to be able to do that now we just think are so sci-fi that it's impossible. And it's kind of just awaking us back up to that. And another one is telepathy, which is like the way that I believe that these orbs communicate with us. They send us kind of like little knowings that you just have like this, like a thought pop in your head, like maybe I should look into that, or maybe I should go this way instead of that way, like I normally do. Like it's just these little things that pop in that kind of like you were talking about earlier, like there is no coincidences. Once you're going through this, you realize everything's kind of being led and guided for you. And like we have the choice if we want to go down whatever path, but if you learn to really trust your intuition and open your heart, that's when you can start like aligning to those highest paths and really start waking up more and developing these abilities even more. And since I've been doing that, I mean, like the videos kind of speak for themselves. You go to my old videos, I'd see like maybe a couple lights flying through the sky. And then just in October last year at a public Skywatch event with 12 other people there, I, on camera, asked for two orbs to appear side by side. I said I would really love to be able to see two orbs side by side, like, because earlier in the night, that's how it started. We saw these two orbs fly side by side, and I couldn't record it. And I just said, I'm going to speak it into existence. There will be two orbs side by side. In less than a minute, there was two massive glowing orbs side by side, just like I asked. And it just gets to this point where like that can't be a coincidence. Like it did the exact thing I asked within a minute, live in front of other people. Like it's just so crazy. And I, yeah, like I think anyone can connect with this phenomenon and start having these experiences if you start getting to that internal state of gratitude and trying to open up and develop a relationship with whatever this intelligence is that's out there that clearly wants to help us. Like that's the biggest thing. Like it feels like it really wants to help us out. Yeah, I know. It was. I wish we could get another one side by side like we got earlier. Now that it's dark, I'm gonna speak it into existence. There will be another one side by side.
Thank you so much. Just God bless you for letting us come here. Like seriously, I'm so touched with your kindness and your generosity and just letting us come to your home.
So it picks up a different
just had a need to buy this property. We have any
view of the camera, right? It's not like that other the goggles are like real clear and gray.
What is this? We'll share it with other people.
Whoa! What are those? Oh my God! What are those? Thank you.
They're huge. Wow.
I just said we can get two side by side. Wow! Thank you.
They're just chilling.
Yeah, they're just chilling. Wow.
As they move down, they're like perfect parallel.
Yeah, they're like it's like they're connected.
They don't separate or.
Oh, I just saw a flash over to the left too.
There's so much extra.
Oh my God! Thank you. Oh, I just saw the flash to the left again. It was like right over in this area. Oh, yeah, there you. Thank you. Can we? Oh, thank you. Can we get another flash, please? Those two were amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, it almost felt like validation too, to where it's saying when it shows itself and you're doing these thought processes, it's almost saying you're on the right path. This is the way. yes, we hear you. You're in the right zone. Now we are going to show you. Um, there's this validation that happens. And then you think back the next day thinking, man, I was really in such a great headspace there, and I reached this elated state and just this love, and they came and they validated, and so it almost just validates this line of thinking, and the line of thinking, simply put, is love. So I mean, it could go all the way down to bare bones of when you choose love and you choose and openness, they validate through these pleasant sightings of orbs. It's not, and to me, I think it's just like dipping our consciousness into this pool of something that's not going to frighten us. Imagine what better way to show us that this is real than beautiful orbs of light. It could get probably far more intense as far as different types of beings, different types of craft or something, but to be a orb of plasma that comes down or flies by in precise formations, that is just such a pleasant way to get this thing started. And different things can come in, but the orbs, I think, is going to be able to wake people up on a grander scale without inducing fear. So yeah, I think I don't know. I just think there's so much validation in your line of thinking when you turn this on.
Mm. Yeah. And I know on our previous episode, we didn't really dive into your Skywatcher experience too much. So maybe we could go into that a little bit too when you went out and did. Uh, so for anyone who hasn't watched the previous episode, go watch that first. But John was a part of the Skywatcher group and got to go out and do a Skywatch as a psionic asset out in the desert. And I would just love to hear what was the process like for that? Was it similar to what you do now, or was there any slight differences or anything like that?
It was very similar, and I'll say some things we did as a group because none of this would break any sort of thing as far as an agreement. But when we were together meditating, we had this pre-meditation as far as setting the intention. And J2 led us in a way that was a bit deep, where he said, imagine a circle of light coming around, like rotating through us
Mm,
counterclockwise. And imagine this beam of light rotating and rotating counterclockwise and then shooting straight up into space, letting them know where we are. So there was a more of a visual aspect in your mind as far as really projecting that beam of light. Some people also project themselves in, like, what's it called, a Merkaba, or
mhm.
Merkaba. But
Yeah, like
there
one of
was
these.
that mental imagery of beaming up of light, but then we went into our own modalities, our individual modalities as one simultaneously. So however they call out, Mike Batista's very casual with it. He doesn't go deep into overthinking about it. He's more just kind of like being himself in his vibe. I go a bit deeper into meditation using over ear headphones and tapes, and the rest of the guys do their thing. But as far as like anything special that we haven't covered, it was all pretty similar to what we've talked about. The gratitude, the emanating love. I picture where we are on the planet. And yeah, it was just similar to what we've discussed, this rooted love meditation. But we meditated a bit longer than I normally do. You get really relaxed as well, laying down on a nice chair on your back. I would recommend when you meditate, definitely lay on your back. The yogis do that, where there's something about laying on your back and the organs, the way everything's just balanced. Um, I think definitely would recommend that. But no, nothing too like specialized with Skywatcher, just straight up love-based meditation. But having a bit more visual as far as that beam of light, I thought was interesting. Oh, and J2 encouraged this pineal gland activation meditation tape, which I thought was really interesting. Certain frequency maybe, and something that focused on the pineal gland.
Hmm. Okay.
But I'll say at Skywatcher, there was a moment that has never happened to me since or before, where something came inside, it stood over me. I have a blocked memory, but I think it really showed itself in its true form as far as some form of being. And apparently I screamed my face off, and what they called it was blood curdling scream. But
Gee.
I know that it wasn't anything to fear because there was a split brain effect where half of my brain was laughing at myself, literally saying, "Look at you screaming. How could you be screaming right now?" But then the other half was turned off, absolutely screaming my face off. And then about 5 to 6 seconds of screaming, J2 wakes up. He's a witness to this. And he looks at me and he's like, "What the fuck? What's going on?" And I wake up out of it. And I say, "Oh, I think and this is how I talked. I said, "Oh, I think I had a nightmare that I was screaming." He was like, "You were just screaming your absolute face off." So I have a completely blocked memory. I can remember the ceiling. I remember my arm kind of like waving at the ceiling. And I remember being in this bubble of silence, this unbelievable energy. Could not hear myself screaming. And at that moment, I kind of realized I think I just saw something where I have a truly blocked memory, which is unbelievable. And that kind of leads me back. I guess the whole point I'm saying all this is when you're not ready, it showed me mercy, and I don't remember what I was consciously awake screaming at. I think my camera just glitched. But yeah, that was a bizarre moment. And then it retreated back to just orbs and orb visitation. So yeah, it showed me mercy, and that's an unbelievable experience I had at Skywatcher that I've never had since or before.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I'm pretty sure I have a blocked memory as well from my second OBE because I saw two gray aliens in this like room that was filled with fog, and then all of a sudden it was black, and I was back in my body. Like yeah, it was a crazy experience. I'm debating on doing like a regression to try to see if I can get past the block and see what it was. But like same thing though, I think it's just them trying to like install a block to something you may not be ready for. Like for my experience, I went out of body the first night and had like the most exciting, profound experience of my life, floating around, floating up out of my body in my room and everything. And then the following night, I had this terrifying experience with some gray ETs that I'm not sure if I got abducted. Like, I'm not sure if I even like physically got abducted or if I got like an astral abduction or like I have no idea. But it also the experience led me to learning about abduction cases and John Mack and all these different things. So that's another thing too. Like if you go through these experiences, even if they are terrifying in the moment, which like in that moment I was terrified. I didn't have not tried an out of body in almost 2 years because of that experience. But it made me go learn other things that I wasn't going to go look into because I didn't want to look into the abduction side of the phenomenon. I didn't want to know about all that stuff. And then when I actually took the time and read the book and listened to all these different cases, I realized like, okay, like I needed to hear this. I needed to learn these things because it's not, I don't know. I feel like there's so much going on that we don't understand. And like, I don't know. I feel like there's just, we are not what we think we are. Like, learning about out of body experiences, the Monroe Institute, all these different things, like near death experiences, all that, realizing that we are not our physical bodies. And like probably most of the time, we are that non physical form. Like, this is probably a very limited, like, thing for us. Like, this is like playing a video game. This is just an experience we're going through to learn different lessons, to evolve and grow into these different versions of ourselves. And it's just, I don't know, there's so much to this phenomenon. And even going through these scary experiences and stuff like that, I still just, when I go out and connect with the orbs, it's still just nothing but love. And it never like made me want to not go connect with them still, even after having those experiences. And I don't know. I just feel like we are on such the verge of this breakthrough of understanding reality and consciousness and all these different things. And I just, it really feels like they're doing their best to guide us to that. And yeah, yeah,
Wondering, what do you like when people ask? People have asked me if people ask, how can you say it's so love based when people are being abducted and going through a hellish experience? It's hard for me to explain, and I just kind of say, well, this is a different type of interaction with NHI. This is a intentional inviting through love to love-based beings, or something that vibes to that frequency and is compatible to that, and is, responding to that, and it's all done through intention and desire through our own accord. An abduction phenomenon, I can't really relate to that, and I don't wanna speak to it because I don't know about it, but I just feel like it's totally different. It could be an external species choosing people based on whatever factor, lineage, blood type. Maybe they're in the perfect spot at the perfect time, and it's more just, it could just be, for science, or it could just be for saving their own dying species, and they need cells, and they need like ova and whatnot. So that, I think, is it's just such a different phenomenon or aspect to the connection of phenomenon that, yeah, it's not related to CE5 or intentionally calling out through consciousness. That is a different type of experience, and
yeah,
it's apples and oranges. So if you're not being abducted and you're just living a normal life, you can connect through love and not have terrifying experiences. If you
yeah,
connect and you have fear and you have anxiety and you're in a dark spot, you may get something that, is compatible to that, and but when you get into the right zone and you're calling out, it's not, you're not gonna necessarily get abducted. Bledsoe is unique, though, where he was in this traumatic spot. He was looking to potentially take his own life. So he was in this desire, trauma, call out that's a bit different, and he got taken up, and he got, not, but it wasn't a scary abduction. So it all varies, but, what do you think
I
about,
mean,
like,
they
the
healed
abduction?
him. They healed his
Yeah,
Crohn's
that's right.
disease. Yeah. So that's another thing too. Like, even like my experience was terrifying, but it was only terrifying because I didn't know what was going on. Like, for I don't even know if it's an abduction. I don't know what it is, but it's just even that, like, I think it was teaching me something, and it was something that I needed to go through. But like you said, like, there is this very distinct, like, if I go out to Skywatch and I'm connecting with the orbs and it's through that gratitude and opening my heart, like, it really feels like, not to bring it into religion, but it feels just like what I would think an angel would feel like. Like, it's, I'm literally going out saying the equivalent of a prayer, and this thing that's showing up is the equivalent of an angel. And it's, but I don't want to put those labels on it because that's when, like, the stigma and everything comes in. But that's, I mean, that's what it's like. It's like this loving thing that's just here, that wants to help you. And, like, to bring it back to Monroe, like, we are not our physical bodies. So, like, even for the abduction experience, like, who knows if I didn't make an agreement in my higher form to have this happen to me at this point in my life to evolve me into this next stage or whatever. Like, we have no idea what is going on behind the scenes with all these different things. And, like, being guided with all this stuff, it's really hard to not find, like, there had to be a reason to go through these experiences. There has to be a reason that we're connecting with this phenomenon right now. And I mean, to me, it's very clear. All you have to do is turn on the news now, and we have David Grush speaking in a press conference calling for, we need truth and transparency because there is something here. They're here. The government knows about it. They're amongst us, basically. Like, you brought up the sentient plasmoid life, which is the
Unbelievable.
orbs. Like, that could be the orbs, or that could also be like light beings that people have described as well. Like, this plasma like being that seems to have some form of consciousness that's interacting with us. And then he also brought up corporeal bipedal beings. So like straight up that means there is some kind of upright species that is here on this planet that the government knows about, which is just insane. Like in 2023, if I were to go back in time and tell myself in 2023 that they're going to be having press conferences, congressional hearings, talking about these different alien beings and all this kind of stuff, I would have been like, yeah, right. Like that's not going to happen. So like the fact that we are here right now, there's a reason, and there's people like me and you who are connecting with this phenomenon in a loving way and really want to share that with everyone, because it has been this thing that I say has enhanced my life. It's
Yes.
made me a much kinder, more open-hearted person who, like, I don't even like killing insects. And it's really hard because we have like an ant infestation right now. And I'm just like, you're in my house. I'm sorry, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to get rid of you. But
I
like,
say sorry to
if I have a spider, like, I'll go get a piece of paper and I'll take it outside. Or like if I'm hiking out in the woods now, I thank the trees for creating the air. Like I talk to the plants and wildlife around me now. Like I realize everything is here going through this experience of life as well. It's just in a different form than what I'm experiencing right now. But it doesn't take away from the fact that they're living and they're having their own experience too. And that's like the biggest thing. Like with this whole phenomenon, and like if we really are all one, then wouldn't everything be all one? Like wouldn't everything be part of the whole greater, so the ETs and these other things included? Like,
yes.
yeah,
And what you're describing with nature in those moments is what it just sounds like being more awake. Where
yeah,
there was an abduction phenomenon I heard about, and the guy said the ET told him, a lot of you are waking zombies, where you're going through each day as a zombie, where you're not. And to me, that sounds like you're not being thankful for the day, and being thankful for what you're experiencing. And I'm with you where when like sometimes after connecting, I'll go the next day to a grocery store and I see all the different people and they just look like fellow pieces of the one to me. It's very bizarre. I feel like, oh, you're going through your life and you're going through your life. And there's just this love for everybody that you can feel. Um, and I feel like that just is like it just kind of continues to flow from the night before of this connection to orbs. And um yeah, it just changes the way you go through the day. When I'm in nature as well, I see birds, I see animals, and I like telepathically say like, I see you, I love you, have a great day. Like
yeah,
no, just like, just not verbally, but just, just like, hey, like, and it's just all, I don't know. And sometimes I get this thought of, when I'm connecting, I'll say this, like, I'll have this thought of, we're all a beach. Say the one is a beach. I'm a grain of sand and you are just another grain of sand. We are energetically equal. Just you might be more evolved. You may be higher up on the beach, but we're still, it's one beach and we're just individualized grains. And you can have different type of metaphors. We're all a drop of water in an ocean. But that is just kind of the thought processes of really being truly energetically equal.
yeah. And like to bring that up too, like there'll be points where I literally can see other people show like appear in my life that seem to be kind of like a path that I didn't take, but they're on that path. And it's like, oh, that's the version of me that's on this path. Like you, for example, when I first was looking into Skywatcher and everything, I was like, that'd be so cool to go out there to connect with them and be a part of Skywatching with them. You're the version of me that got to go do that and is experiencing that. Like it's just these, like really we're all just pieces of the whole. We're all just that one. And like it seems to be, you know, if what's the purpose of us all being here if it's to experience everything? Like what greater way to experience everything than just to have it all being experienced all at the same time. Like we are all experiencing everything right now, and that's feeding into the one that we all are. Like we are learning all the collective lessons at one time is kind of what it feels like.
Man, that's so awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's God fragmenting itself into billions and billions or trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and quadrillions of different beings, and then getting to experience itself like through itself. And then when each time we return to the source as far as dying, we bring those lessons, we bring those experiences, and then maybe it says, all right, let's shoot this part of myself back into another body. Boom, 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 boom. And this part of myself needs to evolve. So I'm going to give, like, sometimes Dolores Cannon would touch on, say you are born and you become this super wealthy celebrity and you kind of have life a little bit on easy mode, and then
Mm,
compare that to someone who is in the slums of Africa living a very difficult life. Maybe they are happy, but they may have difficulties on just the basics, water, electricity, and whatnot. Sometimes it's a thought of that person has a bit more of an evolved soul, and they can take that pain and suffering, and they can like live a life through that. And then if you're more of a baby soul, you come to earth and you have such a pleasant and easygoing life as far as comfortability,
mm,
because you may be a little bit more of a newbie. So it is interesting how we're all living such vast different experiences, but really it's the one experiencing everything simultaneously through everything. Yeah,
yeah.
man, you were blowing my mind.
It's really interesting you say that too, because that just reminded me of like Bashar speaking, and he brings up the fact that Earth is kind of like a master class. Like we're here to go through, like to get our final test, basically. Like we're here to go through that final, really challenging lesson to level up to the next level of consciousness or whatever it may be. Because I really don't understand how it all works. I've listened to the Monroe Institute's released all kinds of like gateway explorer tapes where people have like channeled messages, and they've described that reality seems to be kind of like the spiral that's spiraling upwards, and there's like 49 different levels or something like that, and like we're all the same thing, we're just at different levels on the spectrum, but we're all at the core of the same kind of thing. I don't know if we're just like this bundle of conscious energy or what, but like at each level, I mean, like us and the ETs, we think that like they're so much more advanced than us. Like they're the same thing as us. They're just at the next level up, possibly. Like it kind of seems like this progression that's probably, I'm sure, probably infinite. I don't know how many levels that there would be, but
Yeah. And I imagine when we die and we go to the other side and we're back with the one, there is no pain, there is no suffering. It's just love. And that's what people with the NDEs talk about. It's just simply an ocean of unimaginable love. And so you can bask in that for a while, I imagine. But then there's probably a part of you, as far as your soul, that says, all right, I want to challenge. I want to grow. I want to evolve even more. So let me go play a game. And then you choose your planet potentially, you choose your being. Or maybe there's like a slightly higher over encompassing intelligence that decides for you where you go and what level you go to. Maybe I'm not sure, but then you dive down into a body and you are born and then you live that life and you make choices, and maybe it's just never ending, just reincarnation. But I imagine that for sometimes I think, you and I were like, we're reaching this level of quote unquote awakening where I think when I die, how much more evolved can the consciousness be, as far as when we have this slight awakening, and we're connecting with orbs of light, it feels like we're sort of like winning the game of consciousness in a way. It's hard to put in words that's doesn't sound bad, like however tone that sounds, but like I'm thinking in a past life, there's no way my previous self was reaching this knowingness and calling in NHI. But now that I am, it feels like like how much more can I reach in terms of, you know what I'm kind of trying to say? Like it feels like we've evolved ourselves just within the last few years. I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel like there's more there's I don't know. I'm
No,
losing it.
I totally see that. I can see like lives, like each life is a progression, and maybe we finally hit that progression. It could even be like a species thing too, because I mean, look back at history, how much more violence and killing we were doing on this planet. Like there's a lot now, but there was way more, and we are kind of like as this collective getting better. It takes time, but like we're on the path, and it could just be like life after life. Like we're learning those lessons and we're bringing them into the next life. And it takes a while because, we have this veil of forgetting and we have to relearn everything every single time. But I think each life, like we're getting a bit closer to getting more answers, possibly. And yeah, or leveling up, I guess, to the next level, which yeah, like it's hard for me to try to think what would be beyond this. Like you're saying, like it's like our human brain is like, this has got to be like the top. Like how much further can we go? Meanwhile, it's just like we're probably like at the very bottom, like who knows what's possible. But I
Like,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, there's so many different stories I've heard. Like there's a story from Robert Monroe in one of his books, actually, where he had this out of body experience. I believe he goes to the year like 3000. And when he goes there, the whole planet is beautiful. Like all the buildings, everything's gone. It's just back to like natural environment and everything. And there's animals everywhere and all this. And he's like, man, where are all the people? And there's just like a few little like kind of like tribal like people, but they were all very healthy. There was like no disease, no sickness or anything like that. And they were so far more involved at this point that they just had the choice like to come into this body if they wanted to. Most of the time they were just out floating around doing whatever, and then they could just be like, well, I want to have a physical experience for a while, and then they just come down and they have their like body on earth where they can go into it and like have their experience or whatever. And it kind of feels like if you've ever had an out of body experience, that's kind of what it feels like. Like we are not this thing. Like we are completely separate from this. And if you can really learn to tap into that, like there is so much information that we can learn by projecting out, or like we may even be able to explore the cosmos and explore all these different kinds of things. Like to bring up the Merkaba you talked about earlier, like the ancients viewed that as a light vehicle, so they saw that as the actual vehicle for like consciousness to go into different dimensions and stuff like that. So it's really interesting when people see them, because it could just be a consciousness from a higher dimension coming into our reality, and that's like the bubble they have to come into the physical form or something like that. Like it gets really deep when you go into all these different esoteric teachings that seem to have known about this for thousands of years. It's just been hidden knowledge for some reason they deemed too dangerous for the general population, which I don't like the gatekeeping and all that. Like I really think that all this information, like disclosure, all this religious secrets, like all these secrets just need to come out, and we need to rip the band-aid off and figure out where are we at, because right now we're just living this false reality. Like there is possibly physics where they're flying around UFOs. Like there's possibly humans right now in our government that are flying UFOs. Like that's craziness. While
And
we're all driving around in cars and flying in airplanes and all this kind of stuff. Like it's insane if that's the claims like David Grush are saying with reverse engineered programs. Like we are literally living in two completely different realities.
And it's to me, it may be for the better good right now, where it could be still aligned with our consciousness, where airplanes have been the same, exact same for what, 50 plus years, or maybe 60 plus years at this point. Um, and why is that? Because we haven't really evolved consciously, where you can't, if you have the freedom to fly across the world in, say they cut it down to an hour and a half, 2 hours, and go upwards of maybe 9,000 miles an hour. I was doing math one day on how long flights would be, from, basically across the world. And if that started to become the case, maybe we would be a little bit too free and things. And I don't know. I think there could just be really this intentional lack of growth, like you said, technologically, because there's been a lack of growth consciously. And that lack of growth consciously might be an intentional way of keeping us down from some sort of gatekeepers or decision makers. And for why, I'm not quite sure. It could all be about oil. It could all be about money and power. But um, if they do have the technology for UFOs and whatnot, why not just take like a slight piece of that, apply it to an airplane, and they don't have to go across up, and we don't have to go to different planets yet, or be a space bearing civilization, but we can reduce flight times by maybe 80-90%, or like, I just, yeah, I just think they're trying to keep us slow. And why? It could just be money and power. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that you brought that up too, because we haven't really evolved consciously, and the problem is we get very confident and cocky with our science. So once something is like the agreed upon theory, we're not changing it, no matter how much evidence we have pointing against it, because it's going to be too much work to have to redo the entire education system, and everything that we've thought is completely wrong and all of that. And that's really what it feels like to me. Like when I took my archaeology class, I asked my professor what he thought of Graham Hancock, who I actually really enjoy, like all of his like lost history stuff. And he's like, well, he's really good at telling stories and making a lot of money. And I'm just like, boom, that was day one. As soon as he said that, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna get any like ounce of open-minded thinking or anything like that. And it's just like we have to be open to the fact that we may be wrong about everything we know. Like our understanding of everything could be completely wrong. It's been wrong before. We've killed people in the past for believing these crazy things. It's like, oh, there's no way that the solar system could be revolving around the sun. That's crazy talk. Burn them at the stake. Like, it kind of feels like that kind of thinking has kept us stuck. And it's really like, I don't want to say it, but it's the old generations that have been stuck in these positions for so long too, like within government. Like we have people that have been in these positions for 30, 40 years, that this world is a completely different place than when they took office, and they're still stuck in these old ways of thinking. Meanwhile, like Jesse Michaels just had on, I can't remember his name, but an MIT scientist talking about the base of reality and like understanding. And instead of everything being a physical reductionist model, he's creating a model where the observer comes first, which basically means consciousness would be the foundation of everything, which is what I've come to believe through all of my research and all of this. And everyone in the scientific community, like right now, believes that, consciousness is created within the brain. But the more that we're getting into all these studies and researching, realizing that consciousness seems to be non local, and it's more the brain is an antenna picking up the signal. And if that's the case, like there's so much more to this reality that we can gain access to, because we are not trapped to this. We have access to go out into the informational field of the universe. And like there's people like Tom Campbell who have explained going out of body and going to events in time watching it play out, and he's like, I wonder how it would play out if I did this. And then he's able to like rewind and replay the event in different scenarios, like basically doing his own kind of debugging, but through a time travels kind of way. Like, and then we have, we already have proof from our government that they've used psychic spies for remote viewing. They've found nuclear submarines and planes that have been lost on the other side of the planet that there's no possible way anyone could have known that. So when you have these kinds of weird anomalies, like instead of just putting it in a bucket as that's strange, we don't know what to do with that. Like, really, that's what we should be putting all of the effort and attention on is like, why is this happening? If our understanding of reality is the way it is, this should be impossible. But it's not impossible, it's happening. So clearly there's some place where our understanding is flawed. And it's just really being humbled to the fact that, we may be wrong. That's okay. But the only way we're going to learn and grow is to admit that we're wrong and start looking for new ways to go about the problems that we've been facing.
Yeah. Understanding more about ourselves and consciousness there would result in understanding more about reality. And I just think about right now the double slit experiment where people say, well, how could the atom respond to the observer? It's because the atom is a part of consciousness. It's a part of God, and so are you. So there is a interconnection relation it's down to the atomic level. Literally, the pieces of furniture in your home are technically a part of the one because it's made up of atoms and neutrons, electrons, whatever you want to call it, just down to the atomic level. It's all part of the one. So when they are shooting those, what was it? Shooting photons, maybe I'm not quite sure. But and then a consciousness starts to look at it. They clearly through the experiment reacted to that consciousness because they themselves are a part of consciousness. So it's so materialism, reductionism, or something where they just think that it's not alive, but it's all part of life itself, and consciousness is life, so it is alive. And I don't know really where I was going with that, but yeah, let's go with that.
I had a very similar thought of like that actually just recently. Like everything has to have some level of consciousness because everything is just these light waves and it's being collapsed into these different physical forms. Like this lens cap is being collapsed into this, but there has to be some level of consciousness that's making it do that. Now, I don't know if I'm the one who is creating this whole reality that I'm experiencing it. So it's like me collapsing it, or if it's like this collective consciousness that we are all a part of that we all kind of agree on and everything gets collapsed into the way it is. Like listening to that Jesse Michaels episode was really fascinating. Him talking about like the things that we aren't a part of aren't being rendered in. Like in a video game, you don't need to, like, I'm in my office right now. I don't need to know what's going on outside. Right now, there could be no outside. Like it doesn't exist right now. Or like it's this infinite potential. Now it's probably going to collapse into the most likely form that I'm expecting when I go outside, but there's always that chance of it doing something weird too. Like I may go outside and there may be like a hot pink car in the street or something that I'm not expecting to see or something weird like that. But like it seems to be this consensus
No,
reality that's working with consciousness to create everything for us. Because yeah, if everything is just light waves and if there is no observer and they don't do what they're supposed to do, then if we weren't here to observe this right now, nothing would exist. There wouldn't be a universe, it seems like, which is crazy to think about, but
that see, yeah,
without the observer, there would be no universe.
and the universe is just the observer observing itself in different forms, and that is so bizarre. And sometimes I kind of fight that thought of there being nothing outside. Um, I think there may be like a universal base reality what
Yeah.
you said, where it's a consensus reality. So we all kind of agree the sky's blue. There's we have our cities, our locations. There's plants. It's all, the Earth is the way it is, and this is life. But then sometimes you and I and others, we then have a consensus that there are orbs of light out there that can react to us, and maybe we're manifesting that connection, or maybe that they are a part of consensus reality, but they are able to show themselves when you have a knowingness. But to me, I don't really give. It's hard for me to wrap around the reality spawning itself like a video game. I
Right.
really
Yeah.
do believe everything is here as it is, but you can kind of manifest your path based on either intention or just I don't know, or thought. But yeah, I believe there is a consensus reality that we all agree upon. But maybe as consciousness expands, there's a consensus reality that there's NHI that exist, and then maybe they are a little bit more prevalent. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And like, I guess we could go into earlier, you brought up like raising your vibration. So maybe we are all existing at this certain base level of reality vibration. And as more of us awaken, like we are right now, we know that sound resonates. We also know that humans are made mostly of water, which, if you look into like cymatics and all these different kinds of things, like we are picking up these energies that are all around us, whether we know it or not. So maybe as we awaken, we're raising that collective frequency and we're literally just like phasing into that new reality where these beings are already living because they are already that higher frequency. And maybe that's why, like, some of us can see them because we have already raised up. And that's why the other people can't see them because they're still kind of stuck at that lower level. They haven't like come up with the collective. um, I mean, there's just so many different ways to like think about it. Uh, but
Yeah.
also one last
Oh,
thing for the collective thing that I just Robert Monroe also described in his book. So there's these focus levels and there's all these kinds of different things around. So there's like he went to basically the equivalent of Christian heaven. He went to like all these different religious heavens that are created from us on earth. Like they're just our collective thought forms that create these non-physical places that people literally go to when they die. Like so so like the people who believe they're going to hell, like they're going to go to their own thought created version of hell. And like we're all, when we're not in our physical form, we're immortal. So like he says they'll stay there as long as they need to until they realize like I have the choice, I can leave here, like I'm not stuck here or whatever. But like he described a lot of these non-physical beings or humans when they first pass over, they're kind of like guided into their collective like heaven or wherever they're supposed to go after they die, which was really interesting too.
so
So I,
yeah, you're thinking
yeah,
like heaven is almost subjective to the
yeah,
individual.
and it's just like these thought forms, which is like another thing, like learning about all this too. Like I think our thought forms aren't just like these thoughts. Like I think they are these non-physical things that are created and kind of like go out into the ether. Like we can't see them, but if you choose to put your attention on these certain thoughts, and it's kind of like a garden, like if you plant the seed and if you take care of it, it's going to evolve into basically this manifestation that's going to be either like, if you're trying to manifest in our world, like it's going to take more time because it's very physical. But like in the non-physical realm, like these things happen like the blink of an eye. And like we are, if we are creating our reality, like if we are that observer, like manifestations are clearly just us creating that reality with enough intention and thought and putting it out there into the universe, and then it just is coming to us eventually.
do you feel we're pulling thought from the field of information itself? And I
It
wonder
could
where
be.
imagination comes from. It's
Yeah.
so bizarre how someone is like imagines. I think that like they used to imagine, think about that the cartoon with the little spaceship, or they used to
Or
kind
like
of
the
like imagine,
Jetsons.
yeah, the Jetsons, like they used to kind of
Yeah.
imagine what things could look like without really any context. And then it kind of seems like it slightly comes into fruition. There's a Star Wars movie where they have a literal iPad, like literally in the movie. I'm wondering where that, like they pulled that idea, like it's a straight up iPad, and they pulled that idea from somewhere, and it kind of feels like maybe the ether of information, and or I don't know. It's just sometimes
Well,
imagination just trips me out.
another example that I'm thinking of as you brought that up is like The Simpsons. How many times has The Simpsons like put something in an episode and then it becomes real? Like,
Yeah,
did they just like remote view that and like put that into the episode, or did they create that version of reality when they created the episode? Like, this is where it just gets like it. We'll probably never know, but like it's really fun to think about. But
and musicians, they say sometimes the song just comes to them. They were in a
yeah,
flow state, and it just feels like it came from somewhere else. And um, I'm just wondering if it's always like if every single possibility of everything is always out there, and we're just sort of tuning into something maybe in a flow state, and then it comes to us externally, and not necessarily coming from, electrons firing in the brain. So I'm
yeah,
not sure, but man,
yeah,
it's all interesting.
because because you have you'll have things where like people will create the same thing at the same time on different parts of the planet, like the pyramids, for example. Like, how did they know to build the same exact pyramids in Mexico versus like the other side of the planet and stuff like they weren't communicating. It's just like was it the morphic resonance? I think it's what it's called. Like it's something that we are all connect, like basically the collective consciousness. Like once it's, I wonder also like the thought thing. I wonder if it could be like this thought cloud is like coming through the human population, and it's like who's going to pick it up and like actually put in the effort to do that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know, we kind of got really far away from orbs for a minute, but
I
so,
it, it's just flowing like a river. But I
yeah,
guess for this episode, we did cover methods, thought processes, finding gratitude. And I would say that start just like if you're into this, start going online or finding books and really just dive into any subject that calls to you. Let yourself just be open, curious, and start clicking on what you feel drawn to. Start listening to maybe a meditation tape that calls to you online. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Follow your gut, follow your path, have a knowingness that it's real. I recommend listening to Bledsoe. I recommend even listening to Greer. Blend certain techniques, and it begins with meditating. Meditate, to me, it does, at least. That's what my recommendation. Because some say, I can just go outside, say a prayer, look up, and they come. Well, for me, it's to really turn this thing on, like turn on the switch. I would say meditate periodically, at least every day, 5-10 minutes a day, and get to know yourself, get to know the silence, get to know the source. Look up somebody like David Lynch, look at his meditation processes and his thoughts of expanding your consciousness, and just go into different topics, Bashar, whatever you want to look into, and just do you. But it begins with reaching a knowingness that you are more than your physical body.
yeah. And then also while you're diving into all that, really like notice when you are going to listen to like a podcast or something, see what resonates within you. You don't have to take everything, all the information, just take the parts that resonate with you, and you can start kind of like building this framework. Because once you start diving into all these topics, you kind of realize that they're all connected in these ways that we, like most people, are completely unaware of. Like the out of body experiences, near death experiences, psychedelics. people seem to experience these other kind of things that are very similar as well. You have these psychic abilities, which, if you're connecting with the phenomenon, like earlier when you brought up visualizing and sending out that beacon, that really sounds like you're sending out a telepathic invitation, or like, hey, like you're sending out this telepathic message out into the universe. Like, this is where I'm at. If you want to come hang out in this loving fashion, like, we're here, we're open, like, come hang out. And the biggest thing is, like, really just have fun with it. Like, find your inner child again. Through this whole process, I went from being, I was depressed, I was angry with where I was in life, I wasn't happy with the situation of where I was at, and now I'm grateful every single day of my life. I'm expressing that gratitude, and it's just brought me to this much more beautiful way of living life. And that reminds me of my childhood, where everything was more magical, where everything was exciting and fun, and your imagination, you're thinking of all these different things. There's all these different possibilities. And like, we tell our kids anything is possible. And then we grow up and they're like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. But I think we truly can do whatever we put our mind to. It just really comes from having that belief that you can do it. Like, you listen to Jim Carrey, who wrote a check for himself for a certain amount, like, he really believed that he was going to get that job, he was going to get that check, and he got the exact check that he wrote to himself, basically. Like, there's so many stories of people who have just known what they wanted to do. They took the steps to do it, and it just works out and manifests for them. But it all comes from them believing in themselves and knowing that there's no way that they can't do this.
Yeah, believing, knowing anything's possible. Break down all the walls. Think of everything as fully possible, and have fun with it. And when they come in, I get to that childlike wonder as well. It's just this excitement, this elation, and it's magical. And if you're struggling with trauma, and if you're struggling with grief or sadness or depression, you can still connect, but just set that aside when you're connecting. Listen to your favorite songs before connecting. I'd recommend to get yourself in, like, listen to your absolute favorite songs to get into this great mood, and then dive into a meditation and get yourself kind of clear out all the negative. It is hard, but just let it go for 30 minutes. Just let it go. Find your breath, find yourself, and then, because you and I, we still have bad days here and there, we still have low moments. We're human, but when we connect, we let all that go, and we just find the love and find the gratitude. So just, take deep breaths, let it all flow and flow out of you, as far as the sadness, whatever, and then get to that childlike wonder, and just, yeah, just let it ride.
Yeah. And be patient, because you will not always have an experience. There's been times where I've had months of not seeing anything. And then there's times where I go out and I see over 100 objects flying through the sky in an hour or whatever. So it's really trying to just be humble and realizing that, this is a relationship. If you're going to be putting out this negative energy, or like trying to demand them to appear or show up, or like a word I know you're not fond of, summon. If you're trying to summon these things and like demand they show up, I don't think they're going to appear. I think it's very much so a relationship. It's an invitation. It's a, like, projecting out your own openness and love to connect with whatever's out there. And I think, if you're doing that with those intentions, what you're going to get in return is going to be these beautiful things that are going to blow your mind. And it may take time, it may happen right away. It's different for everyone. Just know that when I had this experience, it completely changed me. I was no longer the person I was before. I have this has become my entire life. Like, so for people who are wanting this so bad, just realize that when the time is right, it'll happen, and it will happen in the way that it's meant to, for you to hopefully get the best of this experience, and hopefully it brings you to this greater connection like it did for both of us, and hopefully we can help bring that to everyone and really change this planet for the better.
It's still right there.
Dude, I saw this thing go this way,
Yeah.
but it wasn't going straight. It was doing this.
Oh, it's like swimming?
It was swimming.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, once you see it, your mind's like forever changed, so. Whoa, thank you for that flash. It was just a big flash over there.
I love it. It's upon their will, and I think this is a good spot to just say thank you for watching. Subscribe to Lights Over Loveland, and let's keep going.
Heck yeah. And also, I guess if you all have any other questions or if we missed anything, definitely leave a comment below. We will try to answer everything we can. And if we have to do a follow-up, we'll do a follow-up and dive into some more stuff. So
I love it. And hit me up on Insta, people. I'm Orbs by Thought on Insta. I just made an account. So
yeah,
I'm
shout out.
myself. Plug.
Yeah, no, shout out all of your stuff, because I think I forgot to do that last time.
It's just Orbs by Thought on X and Instagram right now. I have a YouTube channel. I just have one video talking about Skywatcher, but yeah, I want to get this Insta going because I've only uploaded like 5 or 6 videos. A lot more are coming, but just wanted to shout that out. Sorry.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, definitely go check out John's videos. Go check out the previous episode we did, because I included a lot of his footage, and a lot of it is truly incredible, and a lot of it is things I haven't seen anyone else post at all, like the orb interacting with your phone or the giant orange fireball orb. And it's just, he's got some really fascinating videos, so go check those out. But thank you so much, everyone. That's going to be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that this helps someone out there be able to establish this connection and start experiencing the phenomenon for themselves. Like I said, it changed my life in a positive way. Same for John. And really, the way we're going to get disclosure is from us. It's going to be from the people going out, doing the research, recording these things, and releasing it. Because today is June 12th. We just got the 3rd drop of UFO files from the White House, and it was the least impressive release so far. It was really cool because they showed some videos of the orbs, and then there's some artist recreations of some incidents that happened. But there's only like 3 or 4 videos of some orbs, and honestly, the videos we showed in this episode are more impressive, I think, than the videos that we got. It was interesting because they're these red fireball orbs, just like John recorded. So I'll show some clips of what they released in here. Nothing groundbreaking. There was no mention of reverse engineering. There was no mentions of NHI, non-human intelligence. There was, once again, we're just not getting this transparency in the information yet that we are asking for. David Grush went on the press conference pleading for them to release the information they know about this, and they went ahead and dropped just the least impressive thing so far. And today is the day Disclosure Day comes out, the movie, and it really just feels like this is a movement of the people, and I know that's how it's meant to be. It's not meant to be in the hands of a government with their bureaucracy and all these different ways that they can hide these programs through special access programs. And it's really just going to come from observations and documentation from the general public, doing the best that we can to observe the skies around us. We have billions of people around this planet. We can all do our best to document what we're seeing. Spend some extra time, go outside, try to connect, go under the stars. so many people in their day-to-day life don't even go outside in the dark and look at the night sky. So this is an invitation for you to get out and open your mind and heart to what may be going on up in the sky above us. With all that being said, a couple things that I didn't mention at the beginning of this episode, but if you're here, I think you're going to be perfect for this community. But I have a free Discord for anyone who would like to join. It's a community of like-minded people where we can share our footage, our experiences. You can get information about upcoming Skywatch events I'm hosting, and it's just a great place to hang out. Another way you can help support me is I have a Patreon where I have a membership that's just $5 a month that you'll gain access to episodes early, and you'll get some behind the scenes content as well. And the last way you can help support is I have my online merch store where I sell hats, t-shirts, coffee mugs, sweatshirts, all kinds of different things. So if that's something you're interested in, those sales go directly into helping support me be able to improve this channel. It also goes towards helping me be able to go to future events and conferences so I can start talking with more experiencers and bringing more stories and information to everyone who's listening. So if that's something you'd like to check out, all those links are going to be down below. And lastly, a couple free ways you can help are to like, share, comment, follow, subscribe wherever you're watching. And really, if you enjoyed this episode, if you think that it can help someone out there, please share it. I'm asking for all of your help to get this information out to everyone. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here, listening to this episode, and we are Disclosure. It is up to us to change this world. So I hope you're coming along with me on this ride, and I'll see you in the next episode.